Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, our Mahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 4, Text 21. Soham tad darshanalhada yogarti yuta prabho gamisye dayitam tasya badharya shrama mandalam. My dear Vidura, now I am mad for want of the pleasure of seeing you, of seeing him. And just to mitigate this, I am now proceeding to Bhadrakrama in the Himalayas for association, as I have been instructed by him. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord of the standard of Uddhava constantly associates with the Lord in the double perception of simultaneous separation and meeting. The pure devotee is not for a moment unengaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. Execution of the Lord's service is the main occupation of the pure devotee. Uddhava's separation from the Lord was unbearable, and therefore he started to Bhadrakrama in obedience to the Lord's order, because the order of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. As long as one is engaged in the execution of the order of the Lord, there is no factual separation from him. Text 22. Yatra Narayano Devo Narascha Bhagavan Rishi Mriduti Ram Tapo Dirgam Dipate Loka Bhavano. There in Bhadrakrama, the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as the sages Nara and Narayana has been undergoing great penance since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. Purport. Bhadrakrama in the Himalayas, the abode of Nara Narayana sages, is a great place of pilgrimage for the Hindus. Even up to the present, hundreds of thousands of pious Hindus go to pay respects to the incarnation of God Nara Narayana. It appears that even 5,000 years ago, this holy place was being visited by such a holy being as Uddhava. And even at that time, the place was known to be very old. This particular pilgrimage site is very difficult to visit for ordinary men because of its difficult situation in the Himalayas, in a place which is covered by ice almost all year. A few months during the summer season, people can visit this place at great personal inconvenience. There are 4 dhams, or kingdoms of God, which represent the planets of the spiritual sky, which consists of the Brahmajyoti and the Vaikunthas. These are Bhadrakrama, Rameshvara, Jagannath Puri, and Dwarka. Faithful Hindus still visit all these holy places for perfection of spiritual realization, following in the footsteps of devotees like Uddhava. 23, text 23. Shri Shuka Uvacha Ityudhavad Upakarnya Suridham Durashamvadham Gyaneya Shamyat Yakshata Shokam Utpatitam Buddha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, after hearing from Uddhava all about the annihilation of his friends and relatives, the learned Vidura pacified his overwhelming bereavement by dint of his transcendental knowledge. Purport. Vidura was informed that the result of the Battle of Kurukshetra was the annihilation of his friends and relatives, as well as the destruction of the Yadu dynasty and also the passing away of the Lord. All these hurled him into bereavement for the time being, but because he was a highly advanced in transcendental knowledge, he was quite competent to pacify himself by enlightenment. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, due to our long association with bodily relationships, bereavement on account of annihilation of friends and relatives is not at all astonishing, but one has to learn the art of subduing such bereavement with higher transcendental knowledge. The talks between Uddhava and Vidura on the topic of Krishna began at sunset, and Vidura was now further advanced in knowledge due to his association with Uddhava. Text 24. Satam Maha Bhagavatam Rajantam Kuravarshaba Vishrambad Abhyadadedam Mukyam Krishna Parigrahe. While Uddhava, the chief and most confidential amongst the devotees of the Lord, was going away, Vidura, in affection and confidence, questioned him. Purport. Vidura was much older than Uddhava. By family relationship, Uddhava was a contemporary brother of Krishna's, while Vidura was as elderly as Krishna's father, Vasudeva. But although junior by age, Uddhava was much advanced in the devotional service of the Lord, and therefore he is described herein as the chief amongst the devotees of the Lord. Vidura was confident about this, and thus he addressed Uddhava in the higher category. That is the way of courteous dealings between two devotees. Text 25. Vidura uvacha Gyanam param svatma raha prakasham yad aha yogeshvara ishvaraste vaktum bhavano rati yad drivishnur brityasva brityartha kritas charhanti. Vidura said, O Uddhava, because the servants of Vishnu, the Lord, wander in the interest of serving others, it is quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord himself. Purport. The servants of the Lord are actually servants of society. They have no interest in human society other than to enlighten it in transcendental knowledge. They are interested in imparting knowledge of the relationship of the living being with the Supreme Lord, the activities in that transcendental relationship, and the ultimate goal of human life. That is the real knowledge which can help society achieve the real aim of human welfare. Knowledge in the matter of bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing, transformed into various branches of advancement of knowledge, is all temporary. A living being is not the material body, but an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and thus revival of his self-knowledge is essential. Without this knowledge, the human life is baffled. The servants of Lord Vishnu are entrusted with this responsible work, and so they wander over the earth and to all other planets in the universe. Thus, the knowledge which was received by Uddhava directly from the Lord deserves to be distributed in human society, especially to persons like Vidura, who are highly advanced in devotional service of the Lord. Real transcendental knowledge descends in the disciplic succession from the Lord to Uddhava, from Uddhava to Vidura, and so on. Such supreme transcendental knowledge is not possible to achieve by the process of imperfect speculation as performed by the so-called learned, mundane wranglers. Vidura was anxious to know from Uddhava that confidential knowledge known as Paramam Stitim, in which the Lord is known by his transcendental pastimes. Although Vidura was older than Uddhava, he was anxious to become a servant of Uddhava in the transcendental relationship. This formula of transcendental disciplic succession is taught by Lord Chaitanya also. Lord Chaitanya advises that one revive transcendental knowledge from anyone, whether a Brahmana or a Sudra, a householder or a sannyasi, provided that the person is factually conversant with the science of Krishna. A person who knows the science of Krishna is factually a bona fide spiritual master. Text 46. Uddhava uvacha Nanu te tattva samradya rishi kaushara vonitke sakshad bhagavadadisto martyalokam jihasata. Sri Uddhava said, "You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world." Purport. Although one may be very well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to the scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by so doing, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, and piety, and the blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava did not accept him as a disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well-versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person. But he was well-versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyatikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interests of one's personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo-spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. Text 27. Shri Sukha Uvacha Iti Saha Vidurina Vishvamurtir Guna Kataya Sudhaya Plaviturotapa Shanam Eva Puline Yamasvasustam Samusita Aupagavir Nisham Tatogat. Shukadeva Goswami said, "O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc. on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away." Purport. The word used here for Krishna is Vishvamurti. Both Uddhava and Vidura were in great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure. And the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such visualization on the transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is factual, absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as Vishvamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. Okay. Thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 28 on Monday. Before we stop, are there any questions or comments? Yes. Dr. Bina, we're having the program at the YMCA this Sunday. I don't know if you'll be able to make it. If you can make it, it'd be good to see you. If not, no worries. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Glories to the assembled devotees, glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadurga Jai, Nishringapali Dham Ki Jai,
Jai. Jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radha Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Scientific Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Ki Jai. Jai Srimati Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jai Vishwambhar Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Bhakti Bina Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari 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 Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare
Krishna Keshav Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai Gurudev. Dhanavad pranams.
And most all devotees.